What would you do, if the person who saved you from your worst moment turned out to be the very person your heart had been searching for all along? She was broken, scared, and lost, surrounded by voices that mocked her, hands that tried to hurt her dignity. But in that very moment, when her world felt like it was crumbling, a stranger stepped forward, not just a stranger, but a father, fighting not only for her safety, but for something he himself didn't know he needed, a reason to love again. This is not just a story of pain or protection. This is the story of a single dad who fought like a hero, and the woman who found love, home, and healing in his arms. The evening had fallen heavy with the kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful, it feels dangerous. Maya was walking home from her late shift at the cafe, her bag hanging low, her steps quickened by the sound of footsteps behind her. She had learned to live with the stares, the whispers, the crude comments from men who thought her aloneness made her prey. But that night, it escalated. 3 men cornered her near the alley, their smirks curling with ugly intentions. "Why rush, sweetheart? Stay a while," one sneered, blocking her path. Maya's heart pounded. She clutched her bag tighter, voice trembling, "Please, let me pass." But then, before their laughter could echo deeper, another voice cut through the night. "Back off." It wasn't just a warning. It was the growl of a man who had seen enough darkness to know when to fight it. Ethan. A single dad, heading home from his second job, still in his worn-out work jacket. His eyes were tired, but the fire inside them reignited when he saw Maya's fear. He didn't hesitate. With one swift push, he shoved the man closest to her away. The others tried to fight back, but Ethan, who had wrestled with more battles in life than they ever could imagine, stood tall, fists clenched, body shielding Maya like a wall of steel. The scuffle was rough, brutal even. Ethan's lips split, his knuckles bled, but in the end, the men staggered off cursing, beaten and humiliated. Maya was trembling, tears slipping down her cheeks. Ethan turned to her, his voice softer than she expected from someone who had just fought like a warrior. "Are you all right?" She could barely nod. For the first time in so long, she didn't feel invisible, someone had noticed her pain. Someone had fought for her. That night, Ethan walked her home. They barely spoke, but something deeper than words was exchanged. A silent bond. A question unasked, "Why would a stranger risk so much for me?" But Ethan knew his answer already, he was a father. And protecting the vulnerable was no longer a choice for him. It was who he was. Days passed, but neither forgot the other. Maya found herself scanning the cafe door, hoping to see him again. And then one morning, there he was. Ethan walked in, not with confidence, but with the quiet exhaustion of a man carrying the world on his shoulders. He had his little daughter, Lily, with him. A bright-eyed, curly-haired girl who clung to her dad's arm like he was her entire universe. Maya's heart softened instantly. She watched as Ethan ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, his hands searching his pockets nervously for spare change. Maya, without thinking, added a muffin to his order. For her, she smiled at Lily, pretending it was a cafe promotion. Ethan noticed, and though he didn't say much, the gratitude in his eyes was enough to stir something deep inside her. Over time, they crossed paths more often. Ethan would stop by after work, sometimes with Lily, sometimes alone. They talked, first about safe things, coffee, books, work. But slowly, layers peeled back. Maya told him about losing her family, about fighting every day to keep herself afloat. Ethan shared his story too, how his wife had left when Lily was just a baby, how he promised himself never to fail his daughter no matter how much life crushed him. Maya began helping Ethan whenever she could, free meals, a listening ear, little acts of kindness. And Ethan, in return, gave her something priceless, safety. She realized she slept better at night knowing he existed in her world. But soon, something else grew between them. Lily adored Maya, always running to hug her when she saw her. And Ethan, though guarded, though afraid to love again, found himself drawn to Maya's resilience, her quiet strength, her laughter that somehow healed the cracks inside him. One evening, when rain poured outside and Maya had stayed late to close the cafe, Ethan appeared at the door, soaked through, waiting just to walk her home. She looked at him in disbelief. "You don't have to keep protecting me," she whispered. He stepped closer, his voice steady but filled with unspoken emotion. "I'm not protecting you because I have to, Maya. I'm protecting you because I don't know how to stop." Her breath caught. And in that moment, surrounded by the storm, she realized, this man who had fought for her once, was ready to fight for her always. Would no longer just be the girl he saved, she would become the woman who saved him back, giving him love, family, and a home he thought he'd never deserve.